What's up, friends? Welcome into another edition of Rock Chalk Sports here on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. With Dan Courtwright, I'm Sean Kellerman. Elijah Schmidt doing the producing today.
Yeah.
Shout out to Elijah Schmidt.
Shout out.
Here's our rundown for today. We've got KU and Corpus Christi recap here in the opening segment as the Hawks disposed of the Islanders 77-46 last night in the hollowed walls of Allen Fieldhouse. Nice seeing the Birds get back in the
You
win
mean the
column.
cathedral of college
The
basketball?
temple of college basketball.
The old barn.
The bucket list item.
Oh, that's a stretch.
They're all good.
No, it's not a stretch, but it's just. Right.
We're going to hear from the two-time national champion Bill Self post-game. And after that, we're going to be joined by a very special guest. It's Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com and the Lawrence Journal-World. Henry will be right over, in studio over there on that couch is where he will sit to break down KU basketball, KU football. And honestly, we're probably going to ask him some KU soccer NCAA tournament questions because I think he explained it to me. I'm going to need him to explain it to me like I'm an 8-year-old.
Yeah, so the way that I vaguely remember it is that the first 2 rounds will be hosted by the host site, and then after that, it essentially turns into college baseball rules.
See, but I think that's wrong.
Is it wrong?
Because Nate Lee said earlier this week that in all likelihood, this is KU's final home game against Cal Baptist on Friday. Friday at 6, Rock Chalk Park.
So will we not host the winner of Louisville, Kentucky?
That's what I'm confused by.
That's interesting.
So maybe I'm wrong and maybe it is because that would make more sense because that's how baseball is.
Sure, yeah.
Right? You have the kind of first 2 rounds and then the pods and all that. And then baseball gets confusing after the Sweet 16, if you will, because then they have the super regional.
They just have one format. One format for everything.
Keeps us guessing. So Greeny will educate us on that and everything else that he can tell us regarding KU soccer, KU volleyball, etc. And then after that, we've got our KU Mailbag segment. You still have time at the Kansas Nation. Hit us up on Twitter or really anywhere you can find us, KansasNation.com. We're going to have all your questions a little bit later in the show.
By the people, for the people, KU Mailbag. Please send us those questions on Twitter at the Kansas Nation. Always love the Kansas Mailbag. Got a lot of good ones in here today, too. So really excited for that segment. Always appreciate the fans interacting with us.
Kohl, Rosario, and Bryson Tiller spoke to the media post-game. We'll hear from them following our mailbag segment, and then we'll close out doing a little sports whip around. We haven't gotten a chance to talk a lot of NFL. There's news in the NFL. Brian Daboll fired. Travis Hunter out for the season. In college football, maybe reset you on how the college football playoff would look if the season ended today, and some noteworthy scores from last night in college basketball as well. So we'll get through all that at the end of the show today on Rock Chalk Sports. All right, Dan, we're going to break down this 31-point victory over the Islanders for KU. But first, we saw about an hour before tip, Darren Peterson coming out to James Naismith Court wearing street clothes, the warm-ups, and clearly not warming up with the team. Bill Self saying post-game that he practiced in the days leading up to the game. He practiced yesterday morning at 10 a.m., but a little tightness in his hamstring. This is the second game he's missing, of course, if you include the Fort Hays State game. Your level of concern as Peterson remained on the bench. Bill Self says he expects him to be back at practice Thursday and used the term, I think the phrase was hopefully precautionary regarding holding DP out last night.
Yeah, I think I'm not concerned yet. It's easy to jump to conclusions, and as we know, KU fans are quick to do that, right? We're seeing a lot of KU fans being like, "Oh no, he's going to opt out in February, and he's going to go to the NBA draft. He's not going to play. It's going to be like a Kyrie Irving type of situation at Duke, or just like a weird thing." I'm not concerned yet. Where I'll talk about where my concern level will be later, but I'm not concerned. And Bill Self did an okay job of clearing it up, right? He was like, look, he went through shoot around, he went through practice all week. All of a sudden, today at shoot around, I mean, he could tell he was pulling up, settling for jumpers instead of getting to the rim. He asked what was going on. He says hammy was tight. So he said, hey, look, I'm not going to risk it, right? Why would you? Why would you risk it? Like, could you imagine Darren Peterson would have some kind of devastating injury in a Corpus Christi game? All of a sudden, you're facing Duke, and Darren Peterson's going to be out for a month or two, right? You don't want that to happen. So I totally understand why they decided to sit him. Where my concern level will be is substantially higher if he doesn't play I'm going to say more than 15 minutes against Princeton. Now things can change, right? I mean, if KU gets off to a 50-0 lead, you take him out probably, right? But if he doesn't play more than 15 minutes against Princeton, then I'm going to start to have some questions. As of right now, everything is seemingly accounted for, right? I mean, they were, they're like, oh, hey, well, he had stomach cramps, in the first game that he missed. He had tight hammy in this one. Why they couldn't tell us beforehand, I don't know, but they were open about it afterwards too. So yeah, I mean it sucks. And look, the team is very different without DP out there, and we had some guys be able to step up. I think there is a silver lining that I do think it's a good thing to have DP have to sit out a couple of games early in the season, because then it allows some of your other guys to have to step up, right? You know how easy it would be to kind of sit back and let DP do everything if he was just a constant, like he's out there for 40 minutes a game. You just let him go to work, let him cook. You know what I mean? It'd be very easy to kind of slump. I'm not saying that the players would do that. I'm saying it would be easy to do that. So this
And
kind of
not a recipe for long-term success.
It's not a recipe for long-term success. We talked about this yesterday about how the whole identity was, hey, we have Darren Peterson, and if we don't, then we don't know what we're going to do, right? Now you kind of have an idea, right? Kohl Rosario got off to an incredibly hot start. 3 alley-oop dunks. I mean, right away, he hit a couple of threes as well. I thought Kohl Rosario played fantastic. I'm glad he didn't get 20, because I would have had to shave my mustache off.
That's true.
That was a bet that Sean and I had during the game. We were sitting next to each other. But Kohl Rosario looked fantastic. I thought Bryson Tiller came out and showed a lot of really good stuff also. I mean, there's going to be a breaking point. We can talk more about Bryson Tiller too, but there's going to be a breaking point, right, where he has to be a starter. He has to be getting the majority of the minutes at that power forward position.
I don't know that I agree, but I do want to go back to the Darren Peterson thing. I think that my level of concern isn't necessarily the Princeton game. It's the next month or so. Like, are there more games that he's going to have to sit out or going to sit out?
Right.
And, if this really is a tweak here, some tightness there, which there's no reason to believe that it's not, I know that Coach Self and DP more than anybody else want that to be a situation that is done with,
Yes.
right? Because we want him out there every single game, healthy. And I totally get it. I mean, Corpus Christi was not going to walk in here and beat KU,
No.
even if Darren Peterson was out. Like, that was very clear. So precautionary, understood. At the same time, while it is important to get guys minutes and see some rotations without DP, you also want to see some rotations with him.
Yeah.
You want him to be out there so that guys can get used to playing against other teams with
Right.
Darren Peterson out there.
Well,
And it goes without saying that he's KU's most important player. He needs to be on the court.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they constantly talk about, oh, well, hey, DP and Melvin Council, like those two guys are like peanut butter and jelly, right? They're the best backcourt in the country. Well, what happens if you take Melvin Council out? How is he going to play with the other guards, right? The Jaden Dawsons of the world, the Jamari McDowell's, the Marco Jacksons, that kind of stuff. And we kind of got to see a little bit of that. And Jaden Dawson probably had his best game as a Jayhawk in this game as well. We're finally seeing a little bit of production. It's not what we wanted whatsoever, right? I thought Jaden Dawson was going to be a starter, a guy who hits upwards of 3-4 threes a night. He's not that at all yet. He definitely could be. I mean, you look at some of the other guys who you expected to step up, like Melvin Council, who stepped up in that first game. Melvin Council went 2 for 7 from the field, right? Not exactly ideal in terms of scoring wise. I thought what he did on defense is fantastic. He's probably the best defender on the team, at least at the guard position. Marco Jackson didn't have a good game on the offensive side as well. He only went 1 for 4 from the field. So you saw some other guys be able to step up, and I think it's good. I hate to keep on using this term, but it's sort of an evaluation of like, all right, well, here's where Kohl Rosario is now compared to last game and 2 games ago and 3 games ago, right? We're seeing Kohl Rosario continuously progress. We're seeing Jaden Dawson continuously progress. Same with Bryson Tiller, right? And Self even said that in the press conference. He said, look, he was excited to see how some of the other guys continue to react to not having Darren Peterson out there. But I mean, baseline, if you're looking at this team without Darren Peterson, where are they sitting at on the seed line in terms of, the NCAA tournament. Are they a 4 or 5 seed? Maybe. I mean, with DP, they're probably looking at a 2 or 3 seed. I think that's how important Darren Peterson is to this team. So these guys need to figure it out, because there are going to be times where they have to take out Darren Peterson, whether it be, injury, whether it be foul trouble, whether it just be he needs rest, right? There's going to be times where you have to maintain whatever you're doing out there on the court without a generational talent like Darren.
So we'll get into some of the numbers as KU wins 77-46. The Hawks 20-point lead in the first half. I mean, this game was respectfully pretty much over before it started, as KU would get out to an early lead, and then Corpus Christi didn't really pack much of a punch. But without Peterson, who, again, hopefully is back at practice on Thursday and good to go Saturday against Princeton, because you're going to need those reps with him out there, particularly as that's the last game before Duke. I mean, we want to see him out there, and we want to see certain rotations. This was more of a game where you saw a lot of guys getting teens of minutes, maybe 20, low 20s minutes, because Coach Self filtering in a lot of guys, looking at a lot of different rotations. And that's why you're not going to see any major numbers from an individual standpoint, because guys just didn't play enough to put up major numbers. But I got to go back to what I said yesterday, and I got to double down on this. For KU to be a second weekend team in the NCAA tournament, which they haven't been to the second weekend since 2022. So 3 consecutive first weekend losses for KU.
Damn.
Got to get at least to the Sweet 16. For that to happen, you need baseline Darren Peterson and Flory Bidunga to be the best version of themselves.
Yes.
You do, with just how the roster is. For Kansas to be a top 10 team and be in the Final Four conversation, going back to what I said yesterday before the game, Kohl, Rosario, and Bryson Tiller are the guys with the offensive ceiling to make that happen. I really believe that. And we got to see both of those guys contribute in a big way. I love that Rosario finished off a couple alley-oops early, saw the ball go in, and then you could just see his confidence getting higher. And
seems like AJ Storr last year. I'm not comparing him to AJ Storr, but like you remember, like AJ Storr would go out and be just deflated, and all of a sudden he would get like a dunk in transition, and then AJ Storr would just turn it on.
Yeah, well,
right? And that
yeah,
does a lot.
That was rare that he
that
would
was
turn it
very
on.
rare.
But yes, but yeah, there were a couple games that he had good games, and yeah, I mean, for any player, right? It's like get to the free throw line, see the ball go in,
Yeah.
or get an easy basket, anything like that. And we got to see Rosario's bounce, and obviously. You're going to see some comparisons to Christian Brown, and KJ Adams was a name I threw out as well, like a cross between CB and KJ, where he's got that bounce, that athleticism. But yeah, that was great to see. He didn't score as much in the second half because he didn't play nearly as much in the second half, but needless to say, he's a fan favorite. And if he's able to start hitting the outside shot with consistency, again, he provides an offensive ceiling that the other guys just don't provide. I don't know that Elmarco Jackson has an offensive ceiling that's particularly high, at least at this point, as he's still getting his feet wet. He's still a sophomore, that sort of thing. Melvin Council obviously is going to be a defense first guy. Trey White is a good college player. I think Council would fall into that good college player where, they're going to contribute in certain ways. But in terms of like next level stuff, Rosario is that guy. And so is Bryson Tiller. My favorite thing from Bryson Tiller last night was the play of the game, for sure, where he gets the ball in transition, shakes a guy, one bounce, and dunks it.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on here? But my second favorite thing was the fact that he missed a 3 earlier, and then he got another opportunity on the baseline. No hesitation at all.
Yeah.
He shot it and drilled it. I mean, it's not like a freshman shriveling up out there. I mean, he rose and fired and connected on that 3, and that was just something that's really special to see. There are little things that you can see in a young player, in my opinion, that make you realize, okay, this guy kind of has the it factor. And I think I can see that from both Rosario and Tiller. Tiller not hesitating. He had that quick twitch that I didn't realize he had. He did it once on the baseline at Louisville and then once on the top of the key last night. He's got that element. He reminded me, Dan, of a Morris twin. I know we're throwing out some names for comparisons,
Which
and
one?
people love that. But he's got kind of the quicker twitch. I'd say Marcus was a little bit more quick twitch than Markieff, but Markieff was a slightly better shooter and a little bit taller. And I see that in Bryson Tiller. So the fact that he's only a freshman, Rosario's only a freshman, those are the guys that, in my opinion, will determine if Kansas, again, if you have Peterson and Bidunga, is just a second weekend team or could be a legit Final Four contender. You need the other pieces to fall into play. Trey White's got to be a good player. Melvin Council can't turn it over, and he and Jackson need to do better than 3 of 11 from the field, like they did last night. 18 turnovers is too many. All that stuff needs to be cleaned up. Other things need to fall into place. But you got to have DP and Flory to be your guys, best version of themselves, continue in ascent. But then Rosario and Tiller, those are the guys that I think can take KU up.
Yeah, I think so. And you were talking about Trey White, and I think he has a defensive upside that's he hasn't reached yet, but he's still really good on the defensive end because you look at a guy who's that lengthy and can guard virtually anybody out there on the court. So I love that out of Trey White. Also on the floor, Trey White went 3 for 3 from the field, 1 for 1 from the 3-point line. And then he had a couple of times, I want to say like 3 times, all within a span of like 5 minutes, where he would catch the ball in the corner, drive in, hit a little floater. None of them went in, but he wound up getting fouled. Do you remember what our biggest issue last year was, aside from no rim protection and aside from no 3-pointers? We couldn't get to the free throw line. Trey White is driving and getting contact and putting up shots, and we're seeing that out of a lot of these different guys too. So I think that's a big thing for Trey White is that he can get to the free throw line. He wound up with 11 points last night, and I liked what I saw from him. And Bill Self said it after the game. He said, we essentially have 3 guys playing. We have 3 starters playing 2 positions. So, I don't know when or if the starting lineup is going to change. I don't know what the rotation is going to look like. But with a guy like Bryson Tiller, like you said, we're seeing the quick twitch. We're seeing the shooting ability. We're seeing the rim protecting ability. He had 3 blocks last night.
Yeah, and I know what you're saying. I just don't necessarily see the need to start him. As
Sure.
Coach Self has said, he's essentially another starter.
Yeah, he's going to get
I don't
his
see
minutes.
the need to necessarily put him in the start. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't. I know it's important to people who starts, and you and I talk about that all the time. But if it works, it works. We don't know really yet. If a guy like Rosario, a guy like White goes on an extended stretch of struggling, then yeah, absolutely I can see it. But at this point, I don't really see necessarily. It was nice seeing, to your point about Trey White, he had an ability to get to the free throw line.
Yeah.
And he had 6 rebounds and 4 assists. That's more like it, right? That's what he did at Illinois. So that's important. And 2 turnovers, that's a lot better than 4. So, and again, we talk a lot about Tiller and Rosario. Tiller in particular, he's still going to have his rough games. He's still going to foul too much. He had 4 turnovers last night that we're not just going to ignore. Like, I understand that's going to happen, particularly with young bigs, but they just have the offensive ceiling that I think this team needs. Are they going to need Jaden Dawson to hit threes? Yeah. Are they going to need Jamari McDowell to be a contributor? Yeah. And like I said, Council and Jackson, a lot of pieces. We don't know what the rotation is, but yeah, those guys I think are the offensive ceiling type guys for KU.
Yeah, for sure. And you need Jaden Dawson to hit threes. I mean, that's a thing that I think we're lacking right now is again, it's 3-point shooting, right? I mean, you got it out of Tiller in the North Carolina game. You got it out of, Jaden Dawson a little bit yesterday. I mean, I think he only hit 1 3, but still. And then you got Kohl Rosario, who went 2 for 6 from the 3-point line last night. Finally was able to see some go in. I think that we're going to see a lot more out of him. But at the same time, you need to hit more threes, more volume threes. Kansas only hit 8 threes last night, and they need to be in double digits, I think, in order to have to, pull away from these guys. You still have Darren Peterson, who, as we know, can hit the 3-point shot, and that's not even his best facet of his game. But right now, he's our best 3-point shooter in terms of statistically and what we've seen on the court. So if you have a point guard as good as Darren Peterson, he's going to get a lot of attention, right? So you need a facilitator kind of guy in DP to be able to kick it out whenever they wind up, double teaming or getting in those passing lanes whenever they're trying to help out with DP, right? He needs to be able to kick it out to a Jaden Dawson or an Marco or a Melvin or a Kohl, one of those guys, and they need to be able to hit their threes. We haven't seen 3-point shooting quite there yet.
We are doing it again where we're talking a lot about offense.
I know.
We should shout out the defense,
yes.
right? Only 18 points in the first half. Again, you allow only 46 points. Corpus Christi was just 1 of 14 from 3. Yes, it's not UNC. Understand that. But KU was plus 18 on the rebounds. They were somehow shockingly plus just 4 in the paint. Corpus Christi scored 46 points.
Yeah.
32 of them were in the paint. KU's only +4, but Flory had a good game, 12, 8, and 4 blocks. Tiller had 3 blocks, and KU just, to me, was much more sound defensively in terms of Corpus Christi didn't have a lot of easy looks. There were a couple here and there, and that was the biggest thing that we wanted to see. We'll see what happens against Princeton. Princeton, a team that gave up 104 points to Akron.
Yeah.
So you want to see a lot of points for KU offensively, but the defense we know is going to be most important.
Yeah, for sure. And with Flory and his shot blocking ability, I think that's worthy of note. And Self pulled him out early, right? I think there was like 17 and some change on the clock when he pulled Flory to put in Bryson. And I think Flory reacted to it well. I still think Flory needs to get a little stronger, but at the same time, like on the defensive end of the ball, we are seeing a relatively good team. And I think I saw a tweet last night saying that is Kansas the new Virginia, just because we've held some of these lower level. I'm not saying I agree with it,
right,
but we've held some of these lower level, like Fort Hays State. They only scored 34. Corpus Christi only scored 46. Right. It's obviously not true because you saw what happened in the North Carolina game where we absolutely got killed in the second half. But I think on the defensive side of the ball, I think they're doing a relatively good job, right? With all of these guys who we talk constantly about offensive threats, they are multi-level guys, right? Like Kohl Rosario was really good on the defensive side of the ball. I think Melvin Council is better on the defensive side of the ball than he is on the offensive side of the ball. Same with Trey White. Same with Flory, right? You look at those guys and you go, what's the best thing about their game? I think it's the defense. I think the defensive upside for White, Rosario, and Flory are substantially higher than they are, and they still have really impressed me.
Looking forward to Saturday, see what KU can do against Princeton, a team that, while they did get crushed by Akron, they probably have a little bit more talent, or at least historically they've been a solid basketball program and likely a little bit better than Texas A&M Corpus Christi. And that game, while another one that Kansas needs to go out and win, make sure you're 3-1. It's the last time that you're going to be on the court before KU takes on Duke. Yeah. And that Duke game is important for some of the reasons we talked about earlier this week. You're only going to have so many opportunities. KU is going to be an underdog in that game. Can they find a way to go to Madison Square and win? We'll find out, of course, coverage for the Princeton game and the Duke game here on Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com, and ESPN Kansas City. After this, we're going to hear from the Hall of Fame head basketball coach Bill Self, his post-game reaction to the win last night on Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com, ESPN Kansas City.
Your home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Bursting in, touchdown Mahomes. Rushing touchdown. 1-yard run over the right tackle. Shotgun snap, 4-man rush. Line drive throw near side. Belt high cut to the 5. Diving to the pylon. It is a touchdown by Worthy. What a throw, but what a turn and dive.
Your home of Westwood One, the NFL playoffs and the Super Bowl. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hello, this is Jared Casey. You're watching KansasNation.com.
Hot Tub and Swim Spa clearance sale at Family Leisure. Hot tubs now only $24.99. Swim spas like this one only $14,999. Lowest prices of the year. Hot tubs $89 a month with no payments until 2026. Spa covers from $249. Spa steps and cover lifters only $99. Up to 50% off spa chemicals and accessories. Great deals on pool tables, saunas, and massage chairs too. Hot Tub and Swim Spa clearance sale going on right now at Family Leisure.
Listen up, guys. A new year is coming, and you deserve to feel your absolute best. Whether you're chasing peak performance, trying to reignite intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health Lawrence is your calling. Situated in a plush man cave setting, their services for testosterone replacement therapy, erectile dysfunction, vitamin therapy, and weight loss are sure to give you the boost you need. Make an online appointment today by searching for Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Step up your game in 2025 with Game Day.
Hey, what's up, Jack Nation? Roby Dunga here, and make sure you check out the new KansasNation.com. Rock Chalk.
Toyota and Crown Volkswagen, getting you where you need to go. Celebrating over 30 years and honored by Best of Lawrence. Visit crownautomotive.com and explore the latest models. Check out specials. Schedule expert maintenance, body shop, and repair services, all with ease. Experience the Crown difference. Miles Snares Crown Automotive, 3400 South Iowa, Lawrence, Kansas. Supporting Kansas athletics.
We Got Your Back Apparel, a local boutique where KC pride meets killer style. They've got it all: coasters, sports merch, candles, mugs, even custom screen printing and embroidery for your next event or brand drop. Whether you're gifting or repping your crew, check them out. We Got Your Back Apparel, located in downtown Overland Park, 7940 Santa Fe Drive, or WeGotYourBackApparel.com. They really do.
Hey Kansas City, Ochai Baji here. When I keep up with my Oak Park Northmen, there's only one place I go: A10 Varsity and A10Varsity.com.
Scores, features, rankings, predictions, and playoff brackets. Watch games online and, of course, the best social media coverage from Lawrence to Lee Summit, Lenexa to Liberty. Plus, the region's biggest events with college combines, basketball showcases, and more. All at one place. And I'll let Ochai tell you again.
Check it out now. Kansas City's home for high school sports, A10Varsity.com.
Transform your home into a serene oasis with a pro-built pool and patio sunroom. Their expertly crafted sunrooms offer breathtaking views, natural light, and year-round comfort. Whether you're relaxing, entertaining, or simply enjoying the beauty of nature, their sunrooms are the perfect addition to your home. Visit them at 4708 Northwest Gateway Avenue in Riverside to see their stunning selection. Pro-built pool and patio, where your dream living space comes to life.
I'm DJ Withers, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Well, 2-1 after their victory last night at Fog Allen Fieldhouse. Next up, Princeton, 1 o'clock on Saturday, as a basketball team takes center stage on a Saturday here in November. Let's hear what the two-time national champion Bill Self said last night.
All right, guys. Coach, I know a few weeks ago you said you were concerned about Darren. If you have an update tonight, and how is he feeling, and do you have an idea?
Well, you know, he played the whole game against Carolina, and then we were off Saturday, practice Sunday, practice Monday, and practice today, this morning, but his hamstring was tight this morning, so, you know, I'm not going to risk that. So hopefully it's precautionary, you know, on the reason why he didn't play. So I look forward to seeing him in practice on Thursday. So at least we think that's the case. But it was tight after he practiced today. We practiced this morning at 10 and he practiced. So we didn't anticipate this, but at the end of practice he said it was tight. So that told me no reason to go.
With Darren's absence, Flory was kind of the potential first option tonight. What did you see out of him?
Excuse me?
With Darren's absence, Flory was kind of the potential first option tonight. What did you see out of him?
I don't think we really had a first option, to be honest with you. Flory, you know, he only played, 8 minutes the first half or whatnot because of 3 fouls. But I thought he did fine. I thought our big guys played a little bigger tonight, so which is something we've been on them about. We didn't get many offensive rebounds from those spots, but I think they did better in a lot of ways. They can certainly become better screeners, but I thought they, for the most part, played to their size, which was good to see.
Coach, a few weeks ago you talked about how enthusiasm is contagious. Who's kind of been that guy in the locker room and on the floor that's kind of spread that around?
Well, I think as much as anybody with the guys that played the majority of the minutes, I think Melvin probably and Kohl are the two that probably, from an appearance standpoint, show probably the most enthusiasm to me. So I would say those two as much as anybody.
Bill, what did you see from Kohl tonight? Do you think he was any different than previous games, like more aggressive, et cetera, first half?
I think he was better. I think the ball went in the hole. I think he drove pressure a couple of times, which was good. You know, he's so bouncy. God almighty, he's bouncy. And we were able to get him in a couple of situations where we threw it up. So I thought he did well. You know, I thought he did well. And, you know, I wanted him to be out there as long as possible, he and Jaden, because they need to see the ball go in as much as anybody on our team, probably.
Yeah. And Bryson had another pretty good game overall. How important is he to kind of the bench scoring aspect that he brings for you guys?
Yeah, you know what, I think that I told the guys, and I actually believe that, I don't think we should look at Bryson as a bench guy. I think we should look at it, we got 3 starters playing 2 spots. with Flory and Bryson and Trey, because I do believe that's the case. But I thought he did fine. You know, the thing about it is we didn't share the ball, and we had a lot of guys that were over dribbling against pressure when the open man was just one pass away, and we didn't make that play. So, you know, we had way too many. They turned us over a lot, but probably, you know, 8 or 10 of our turnovers were us just maybe not getting off the ball and throwing it to the first free man. And Bryson was guilty of that a couple of times.
Did you?
So was Trey, and so was Melvin, and so was El Marco, and everybody else.
Did you envision Bryson being this good shooting from behind the arc as he has been through these first 3 games?
No, not percentage-wise. I didn't envision that. And that's good, but the best play he made tonight was not shooting it and driving it and dunking it. That's the best play he made tonight. To me, I want him to shoot when he's open, wide open, but if he sees a path to get to the hole, he needs to go try to get to the cup. And that was something that we haven't seen enough of. He did it against Louisville, and then he did it tonight, and I think that was a very positive deal.
With Flory's foul trouble, what can you do to foul less, and what kind of work goes into building that discipline on defense?
You know what? The first one was a phantom call. The second one was a bad foul because he didn't get his money's worth. And the third one was all because of Jaden letting his man beat him on a straight line drive, and he came to help. So, to me, if that's a big game, and if you can imagine that's T-Rob back there, and Tyshawn makes that same play, then Tyshawn wouldn't play again the rest of the half or whatever of the game because he put Thomas on the bench with 3 fouls. So, tonight we didn't have that situation, but that's what. So I don't believe it was a problem tonight, but certainly he can show more discipline in a lot of ways. But I thought actually he was probably better in a lot of situations tonight with that.
What do you see from Paul and his role this year, and how?
I don't know what his role is. If he can't catch it and dunk it and be a presence inside, which he's not yet. Hopefully he can get there. Then he'll labor getting a lot of playing time because he's not the skill guy to play away from the basket. He's got to be able to help us close to the basket. But I actually thought he was better tonight. I thought he was a little bit more active. I thought in the 10 minutes he had or whatever, I thought he did some good things. But he needs to forget about trying to show off his touch. He needs to catch it and dunk it. Because that's what he does best, as opposed to kind of tiptoeing around trying to figure out and think and what we're doing. Just catch the ball and try to tear the rim off. That's how he can help us the most offensively.
Did Melvin dislocate his fingers before he came back?
No, he didn't. He dislocated one of them, his left pinky. Yeah, he dislocated his finger. He was showing it to me like, take me out. And then I asked him if it hurt. He said yes. So, but he came back. I don't think it's going to be an issue whatsoever.
Not to go through everybody, but how to go with El Marco and Melvin, their play?
I didn't think either one of them were great tonight. I thought they were okay. But the thing about it is we got to get a shot every possession, folks, and we turned it over 18 times. And the guards have so much to do with just getting the ball into play. And we didn't drive pressure to pass. We just drove pressure to put our head down and over-penetrate. So we can get better at that.
Did you notice Kohl?
Now, is there a limit on the number of questions that one guy can ask?
No, you like
huh?
You don't like
no, I'm joking.
Did you notice Kohl changed his look tonight?
Yes. And that's one thing that I thought that would be the leadoff question tonight. Yeah, he had a mustache last night at Chalk Talk, and then he didn't have one this morning. So yeah, he decided to go with a different look. And I'll be honest with you, not that I care one way or another, but I think I prefer the one that I saw today rather than the one I saw yesterday.
Bill, with Darren, we've seen him.
Hang on a second.
Yeah,
Matt. Gary, did you?
Oh yeah,
anything?
one more.
Go ahead.
with Darren, we've seen him a little bit now to know that he wants to be out there every single time. What's that like when you have to have that conversation about, hey, you're not going tonight? Does he agree? Does he say to you, I'm good with that, I want to do it that way? How does that play out?
This was much of a doctor's decision as anything, saying if it's bothering him, we shouldn't put him out there. Yeah, if it's up to him, he's playing regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But when you can visibly tell at the end of the shoot around today that maybe he was settling for jumpers and not trying to get to the hole. Are you tight? Yeah, I'm tight. Well, that was enough. It's frustrating for him, I'm sure. And it's frustrating as a coach too, because we don't know what from day to day, how he's going to be, because for the way that Carolina guarded him and played Trimble to top block it and do all that stuff, that's stuff that you have to be going full speed to combat. And he did that on Friday. So we know that we think he's going to be okay. I shouldn't say we know whatever, but we think he's going to be okay and everything. But it's a long season, guys, and he's too valuable to put out there and create a situation out of something that shouldn't be a situation.
Does the message change pre-game when you know Darren's not going to be out there? Are you looking at specific guys?
No. I actually told our guys, I'm excited to watch you guys play because he's not going to be here. So let's see. There's going to be times in the games where he's got 4 fouls with 15 minutes left, and how do we play from 15 to the 8-minute mark without him? Or he fouls out, and how do we finish the game the last 6 minutes? I mean, so I thought it was good that he wasn't out there to kind of see those things. It's not good that he wasn't out there, but the positive would be they get a chance to kind of see what it's like without him.
All right, thanks, Coach.
That's Bill Self post-game. Hey, after this, we're going to be joined by Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, and the Lawrence Journal-World on Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com, ESPN, Kansas City. Greenstein, KUSports.com, LJWorld.com. Henry, thanks for coming over today. As usual, we got a lot we got to get to. Of course, busy season, crossover season, all of that. But let's start with the game last night at Allen Fieldhouse. Of course, the big news about an hour before tip was Darren Peterson walking out to James Naismith Court wearing the warm-ups, street clothes, whatever you want to call them. And a little bit surprising, right? We're hoping this isn't something that's a recurring theme. But your thoughts on DP sitting this one out, a game that KU ultimately played pretty well in a big win?
Yeah, I think unsettling would be a good word for it, especially now because he's missed effectively 2.5 games for 3 different reasons. When you think about the cramping and the bug that he had for that exhibition, and now hamstring tightness, as Bill Self put it. It's not great because you want to have your best player out there. Obviously, they need to learn to play around him. He needs to learn how to make them better. The thing is, as much as Darren Peterson could be playing in the NBA at this moment, which is just unequivocally true, he's not a fully formed product. He needs to develop too. He has things to learn. There are ways for him to improve and for him to settle into the collegiate game, and he'll need to do that for this team to be as good as we think it can be. And missing 1 game against Texas A&M Corpus Christi in the regular season isn't that big of a deal. But if this starts to become a recurring pattern, you don't feel as confident in DP producing regularly in games like Duke and Mizzou and NC State and whatnot if he hasn't gotten the reps against these lesser teams, which can be just as useful for someone playing their first collegiate basketball, even if that someone is the presumptive number 1 pick in the NBA draft. So I agree with everyone, including Bill Self yesterday, who said it might be a good experience for his team to get to play without DP and see what that's like, because there will be times where he's in foul trouble or banged up later on in the year. But it's early in the year. I think at this point I'd rather just watch Darren Peterson play basketball.
Yeah, I think Coach Self's probably on that same front as well. But yeah, one more Peterson question before we ask you about the game. This might be a little bit of a different one because, we're focused on everything on the court, that sort of thing. What about the other players in realizing that Peterson is sitting out. Like, obviously, if guys are going to have injuries, that's a thing, and guys are going to sit out. We understand that. But I don't want to say what's the message to the other player, but guys get it. Guys understand that Peterson is who he is.
And question to self yesterday.
What's that?
I said, "What's the message to the other players?"
I don't want to. No, I don't want Henry's.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I don't want.
You don't want me to say something like the thing that Dan asked in yesterday's press conference.
Right. So I don't think my understanding was your question to self was what's the message to the players before the game when Peterson's not going to play.
Yeah, sure.
I'm thinking the mindset of the players when the best player is sitting out, right? Even though it's an injury, right? And that's fair. I don't know. I think you know where I'm going with this. Like what do the guys think in this situation and how do they approach it?
Well, there's a lot of players on this team who are quite accustomed to being the go-to option.
Right.
With the exception of maybe like Trey White, who's always kind of seen himself as a glue guy, and a few others around the fringe of the roster. Like it's a lot of people who are accustomed to having the ball in their hands and being the one that's relied on. You think about someone like Melvin Council at St. Bonaventure, Kohl Rosario when he was an OTE, Bryson Tiller when he was an OTE, at least before he got hurt, Jaden Dawson at Loyola Chicago, even someone like Inyugala up in the Great White North, as they call it. All of these guys are like, they know what it's like to be depended upon. So I don't think it takes much for them to shift back into a different mindset when Peterson's out. And honestly, they should probably have that same mindset even when Peterson is there, combined with the tacit understanding that he is their best player. But I think it's good to foster some level of aggression and build confidence for these guys. I think it can do them a great service. We've talked about Kohl Rosario. We've talked about him. No one else is doing it.
Yeah, nobody else is talking about him.
We've talked about Kohl Rosario and his slow start to the season prior to yesterday. And I think out of anyone on the roster, last night's game was probably as important for him as anybody else, and I think could go a long way toward him becoming a more significant contributor down the line.
Yeah, 100%. Henry Greenstein, KSports.com, and the Lawrence Journal World. Henry, wanted to ask you about another guy who has been, on an upward ascent and has totally emerged kind of as a surprise, but at this point in the season, not a surprise anymore. It's Bryson Tiller, right? I mean, he looks good, and his number got called early. He started playing the 5 spot, came in for Flory with about like 17:30 left in the first half, right? Talk to me about him and his growth and progression in terms of what you've seen. And, Bill Self had said, hey, we essentially have 3 starters playing 2 spots right now, which that's a great thing, but also, there's only so many minutes to kind of go around. Talk to me about where you think Bryson fits into all that.
That was an extremely eye-opening remark to me that Self just came out. Not only did he say that, he said he told the team that he sees Tiller as a starting caliber player. I don't know if he'll actually change who is in the starting lineup, but I have no doubt there will be games where Tiller is on the floor to close it out, which of course is one of Self's classic lines I've heard a lot over the last couple of years, is that it's more important who finishes the game than who starts it.
Right.
I have no doubt we could see Tiller finishing some games, especially against larger teams. But to your main point, the thing that was always interesting to me about Bryson Tiller is that he didn't really see himself as a 5. And then he saw himself as you said yesterday in the press conference, kind of like a big wing at 6'10". And so when people started penciling him in as the backup 5, I was maybe a little concerned that was how they were seeing it, because that's not the kind of player that Tiller even sees himself as. But when Bill Self talks about needing his big men to play big, Tiller is one of the main people he's talking about. And I thought we saw that against Corpus Christi. 11 and 8, altering shots, blocking shots. He looked like a guy who fit in the paint and at the same time can still contribute from some of that outside shooting. So I've been incredibly impressed. This is a guy who hadn't played in a competitive basketball game for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Due to the ankle injury and the surgery he had after enrolling early. So exceptionally impressive that he looks this settled in as a collegiate player without having that experience. He's earned a large share of minutes. Honestly, a lot of times the offense looks better with him than it does with Flory, and that goes to what Self said about the starting caliber players. So yeah, I'd say he's the biggest positive from everything we've seen so far.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And wanted to talk to you about just the bigs in general, the front court, because you brought this up and Self has brought this up numerous times about how the bigs need to play big, and we're just not seeing that right now. I mean, we're seeing Flory be doing good aside from the Green Bay game, not get the production that he needs to do. Where do you think Flory needs to improve in his game, whether it be on the defensive end of the ball or on the offensive end of the ball?
Well, I thought he was okay yesterday, and I asked Self about the foul trouble because this is the thing with Flory. Like, I think if he's out there for 33 minutes in a game, he can be great. He can score 18 points and have 10 rebounds or something on a regular basis. But historically and in very recent history, he just hasn't been able to be out there for that long because he fouls a lot.
Yeah.
But Self yesterday said that it wasn't really his fault. That's how it worked out. He thought the first foul was a bad call, and he thought the third foul was as a result of a defensive assignment that Jaden Dawson missed. So, be that as it may, he wasn't in the game very much yesterday. I actually thought that when he was in the game, he did play pretty big.
Yeah.
The numbers he ended up with weren't too bad. Couple of strong moves inside. Didn't get beaten a lot. Just made the Islanders really uncomfortable shooting the ball inside. Those are all things you want to see. I don't know that I was necessarily dissatisfied with what he did while he was on the court last night. I mean, North Carolina, obviously, he kind of got just obliterated on the defensive end by the Tar Heels big men. But we were always counting on him to take a big jump. It certainly seems like he's going to, but it might be kind of a slower process than we initially envisioned, as opposed to it being like the season begins and he's immediately every bit the post offensive presence that Hunter Dickinson was.
Not the offensive output that you wanted to see the last couple of games from Melvin Council and Elmarco Jackson. What's your concern level with them? We know that they need to kind of be spearheading the KU defense along with Peterson and those bigs that we've talked about, and defense needs to be their priority. They're just not as gifted at this point offensively, but they're going to need to be a little bit more efficient, limit the turnovers, that sort of thing. How do you kind of see their seasons playing out?
Yeah, I'd say I'm more concerned with Elmarco than I am with Melvin. I think Melvin's just played better to this point overall. I think his value on defense is so much that he doesn't need to be one of the top 3 scorers on the offensive end. I am a little uncertain about what his offensive game is supposed to be, like what the vision for it is. Teams seem happy letting him shoot threes, and they should be. He hasn't made one yet this year. He was like a 29% three-point shooter at St. Bonaventure. I think KU would be happy if he were in the low 30s, but right now he's at 0. So, his stroke doesn't look too bad. His selection hasn't been that bad. He just hasn't made them. And playing on a team with Darren Peterson, you're going to have open looks from beyond the arc. He's got to make them when he gets them. But I'm not as concerned with Melvin. I think that floater game could be good for him. He obviously has the agility and athleticism to finish at the rim. We know he has a proven body of work doing it at St. Bonaventure. I think he'll have some productive offensive games sooner rather than later. I'm a little more concerned than Elmarco. I'm a little more concerned about Elmarco, rather. I think Self said that he kind of goes through a checklist, and you can kind of see him doing that. He doesn't look like he's just thinking he does, sorry. He doesn't look like he's just playing rather than thinking. You can see him going through a decision-making process on a lot of possessions. I won't go with the people who say that he looks just like freshman year Elmarco. I don't think that's fair. I think he looks better on defense. He's more willing to shoot it from the outside, which is probably good given the composition of this team. And he's more physically mature too. But he doesn't look like a fluid player. He does look like someone who missed a season due to injury. And it could take a longer time than most probably hoped before he's like a consistent offensive contributor this year.
Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, and the Lawrence Journal World. Henry, over the last couple of days, Sean and I have talked a lot about identity for this program, right? And, I brought it up a couple of days ago, or I think it was yesterday, about how right now it seemed as though the identity was, hey, we have Darren Peterson, and that's pretty much it, right? At this point, with what you've seen both with and without Darren Peterson, what would you say the identity of the offense and the defense is for this Kansas basketball team?
Well, defensively, I think they want to be a team that locks down the opponent's best player and disrupts whatever they're trying to do on offense and takes them out of their own identity. And unfortunately for KU, it didn't do that in the second half against North Carolina at all. In fact, it probably actually made it easier for UNC to play to its identity. But I think back on that stretch of games last season in early January where Shaq Moore came into the lineup and they were KU was defending at a level that it didn't the entire rest of the year, and they were playing games with scores like 54-40. I kind of feel like Bill Self would be perfectly happy if this year's team was like that and Darren Peterson was scoring 30 of the 54
Yeah, that'd be good.
points. So defensively, I do feel like with the athleticism and switchability, importantly, which KU didn't necessarily have in the past, with those attributes at its disposal, KU could be a team like that. Like this could be one of South's best defensive teams in a while. Are they that right now? Not necessarily, as we saw on Friday. But there'll be more chances for them to build up to that level. And I don't think they have liabilities on that end of the floor. I think they have like the perfect group to do all the switching that they're doing to defend against ball screens. They're just maybe not disciplined enough or well trained enough in this system to execute that at this juncture. As for offense, I'm not really sure. They're not going to shoot it particularly well. This won't be a team that drains three after three. They can get hot. Someone like Cole Rosario could, the thing about Cole that everyone always said was that he made 7 of 8 threes in a practice. I'm trying to remember if that was something Haney said
I think so.
In any case, like he can be a streaky shooter, and they may win a game or two this year because he does that. But Jaden Dawson to this point doesn't look like someone who's going to get super hot from beyond the 3-point line. Still time for that to change. So that's not going to be it. They're not an execution team, as himself has said recently. So I don't know what their offensive identity is besides we have Darren Peterson. It's been kind of unclear in the samples we've seen where they don't have him on the floor. The ball and body movement has been pretty good, but things can still stagnate a little bit, especially when Melvin Council isn't also on the floor to initiate things. So that is something I'm really not sure exactly what they'll end up looking like on offense.
KU basketball back at it Saturday, 1 o'clock against Princeton. Hopefully Darren Peterson's out there. Again, hopefully this isn't a recurring theme where he's not, because KU is going to need him. But there are some things to like. I still like this roster a lot compared to the past couple of rosters. A lot of depth and a lot of questions to be answered, and looking forward to seeing how this team improves as the season goes on. KU football, another heartbreaker on Saturday, Henry. Your reaction, again, struggles to score offensively in the second half, only 3 points. You had the 4th and 2 decision to go for it that backfired, missed our first field goal, and then again the defense allows the late touchdown. Some good things, some positives, but overall it was another heartbreaker.
Yeah, I mean, me being the kind of person I am, my mind immediately goes to, is this the most heartbreaking of all the heartbreaking losses KU has suffered in the last 2 years? It's up there. Like UNLV, obviously you have a fumble in your hands that could potentially see. That's like for me the main competition for this one in terms of how close KU was to actually winning the game, only to come out. And then West Virginia, you're up to 2 scores with 6 minutes to go. But even then, like that doesn't seem to compare. So obviously a gut wrenching conclusion. You think about the fact that you have 4th and 2 at the opponent's 12-yard line with 2:43 to go, and the opponent only has 1 timeout. That's whether you make or miss the 4th down. That should be a situation where KU still feels pretty good about its chances of winning, especially when the opposing kicker is making 68% of his field goals on the year. Unfortunately, KU chose the third option of attempting a field goal, and it didn't work out. I don't think that was the right decision, Jalen Daniels or otherwise. This is a team, we see them all through fall camp, practice the Wildcat. There's no reason you can't snap the ball Daniel high shot and have him go straight forward for 2 yards. Even if he doesn't get it, Arizona's starting from its own 11 with a shaky offense and a bad field goal kicker. So, but that's what they opted to do. And of course, there's always additional caveats you have to have in these situations because we spend a lot of the season rather arguing about these coaching decisions. But there's always other things that the players need to do that could potentially have alleviated that discussion entirely. If KU's defense plays even half as well as it has the rest of the game, KU and Arizona go to overtime instead of Arizona winning outright in regulation. And then getting the ball back with 39 seconds and 2 timeouts shouldn't be impossible to go down the field. And actually, KU did a better job offensively in the desperate situation this time than it usually does. So I guess that was a slight improvement. But there were still chances. So I don't want to center the whole discussion on what Lance Leipold chose to do on 4th and 2. Obviously, that's the most salient point. But there were other points at which KU could have won the game. Saeed Gibbs drops a pick 6. Taylor Davis is an inch away from having his own interception. Leroy Harris's interception gets called back. The crazy thing about this is 3 near interceptions. You end up with 0.
Yeah.
KU has intercepted 2 passes in its last 9 games.
That's
Yeah,
insane.
I mean, this is a defense that needs to force turnovers and hasn't. They have 9 forced turnovers on the year, I think. And
it's been at that number for a while.
Yeah, it
and,
really
and,
has.
And again, like you said, just the missed opportunities. Like, I understand we're going to look at the coaching decisions as we should, and everybody will in every sport ever. But like I said earlier this week, you got to make the plays.
Yeah.
Rich Miller 2 years ago, the UNLV game you alluded to, Trey Lathan against Cincinnati.
Oh, gosh.
Kansas just can't seem like there's just one heartbreaking loss after another. There's just a small amount of plays that give you a chance to clinch a game, and it just seems like Kansas hasn't been able to do that. They've done it occasionally. They got the stop against UCF, but there's one game compared to a bunch, and it's just frustrating because what can you do when you're breaking this down in a coin flip game other than talk about the plays that could have been made?
Yeah, unfortunately, UCF kind of seems like the exception that proves the rule. Like, that was a great emotional victory for Kansas, and all that it does is throw into stark relief how few of those KU has over the last 2 seasons. But if they want to pick up one more and go to a postseason game, they're going to have to take it. It's not going to be handed to them. And I felt like in the second half against Arizona, KU was waiting for the game to be over, kind of. I mean, you're basically just punting back and forth for the entire second half. And this is another thing that the defense has received a lot of scrutiny, justifiably so, because it's been pretty soft in coverage a lot of the year. This was not a game where the defense was at fault to me.
Right.
The offense gets 3 points in the entire second half.
Yeah.
And I understand they missed a chip shot field goal. But if you exclude Oklahoma State, you now look back at a period of 4 games where KU has 1 touchdown in the second half, and the 1 touchdown it scored was from 2 yards out on a 2-yard drive after recovering a strip sack. So
not great.
I don't know why that's happening. I do think maybe they're not being aggressive enough in some scenarios, but whatever the case, it seems like whatever they're scripting in the first half is doing a lot better. Opposing defenses are getting used to seeing all the motions and shifts and trades they do. And yeah, this is an all-around team situation. There's no one player or position group that's at fault. But KU just hasn't been ready to make the key plays when it's needed to. And that's why they are at this point in the year like 1 notch above the tier of the 4 worst teams in the Big 12. And their 3 conference wins are against 3 of those 4 teams. Unfortunately, this is just the caliber of team that KU is this year. They're going to have to beat a team that's having a better season than them in order to go to a bowl game.
Yeah, for sure. Henry Greenstein, KSports.com, Lawrence Journal World. Before we get you out of here, I want to talk a little KU soccer with you. As the soccer team, they are the 3 seed. They're taking on Cal Baptist. I know they're from your neck of the woods. I'm sure you know what street they're on, even. So give us a preview of this KU versus Cal Baptist. I'm just kidding. You probably don't know a lot about Cal Baptist. I'm sure you've been doing some research, but talk about how cool this is for Kansas to be able to host an NCAA tournament game.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't come along too often. This is, I think, 3 seed is tied for the highest seed KU's ever had, which kind of a fact that went maybe unnoticed. And Nate Lee said it's the highest seed he's ever been, which makes sense. Yeah, a big privilege for KU to get to host its first round matchup against the Lancers, which you guys were shocked to discover they were the Lancers.
Lancers. I know that you weren't, obviously.
They are. I was not, but they're also a fairly new Division I team, so I'll give you guys a pass for that one. I think this is like their 8th season in Division I. In any event, I do not know the specific street in Riverside from which they originate, unfortunately.
Really?
This is a team that got into the tournament in pretty dramatic fashion. They were down 2-0 to Utah Valley, a team that KU beat 3-2 at Rock Jack Park this year. They were down 2-0 to Utah Valley, rallied in the last half hour, ended up winning in penalty kicks. Their goalie shot the winning penalty kick, Michaela O'Brien.
That's fun.
The WAC goalkeeper of the year. So that's a player to watch in this game. Could be the kind to deny KU some opportunities. It is a little disappointing, I'm sure, for the Jayhawks that they didn't come away with a second straight Big 12 title, and in turn didn't come away with a number 2 seed, which, given the tournament format, would have given them an opportunity to host the next 2 matches if they won.
I was going to say, yeah, explain that to us like we're 8-year-olds, because we don't know the difference because the format for obviously basketball, baseball, soccer, it's all different. So KU's a 3 seed, but it's not a situation where it's a pod where they get to host either Louisville or Kentucky if they win.
Yeah, for some reason the pods only start after the first round. So
Weird.
Duke being the 2 seed in KU's little quadrant means that unless Duke loses its first round matchup to Elon, which is rather unlikely, KU will not be the host and will have to, if it beats Cal Baptist, go to Duke along with the winners of other matchups. I think UCF is the 7 seed, and then it's Louisville, Kentucky for the other one. So we'll see exactly how that shakes out. Cal Baptist, like I said, they had to pull off an upset in the title game. Got some solid players. A first-team all-conference defender in Summer Allen, a couple of solid goal scorers, a midfielder who has, I want to say, 7 goals and 8 assists on the year, so a nice stat line for her. A pretty formidable team, and like Nate Lee said, all they will be doing this week is thinking about the best way to game plan for Kansas.
Yeah.
In a sport with a fairly fast-paced schedule like soccer, you don't always get a full week in order to do that. So KU has to be prepared for its tendencies to be taken away. And it could be a game where they get off to a slow start and have to adjust as it goes on. But a great opportunity for this program. I'm happy for them that they get to have a bit of a spotlight, even amid like a crowded crossover season kind of thing. There's no football game this week, and Friday night is an open night. Many of the local high school football teams have lost. It should be the biggest game in town on Friday night, and we'll see how good of a crowd they're able to draw to Rock Chalk Park.
Speaking of which, high school coverage, Henry Greenstein, the best there is in the business, KUSports.com, LJWorld.com. High school sports, go through KUSports.com. Friday at 6 o'clock, KU soccer against Cal Baptist, and then if they win, we'll see. But we're going to focus on the Lancers of Cal Baptist. Henry, we're going to get you out of here. Number 13, KU volleyball. Are they going to get revenge on K-State in Manhattan on Saturday?
I think historically speaking, they will. They are highly likely to do so. Yes.
All right. Well, let's hope so. They've been on a run, winning 9 of their last 10. Henry, appreciate your time as always.
Yep. Thank you. And by the way, high school sports are not on KUSports.com. They're on LJWorld.
That's what I meant.
LJWorld.com. All of your high school.
All of your high school sports run through
There's
Henry Greenstein.
no other place to go than LJWorld.com.
LJWorld.com. Perfect. Thanks, Henry, for God. After this, our KU Mailbag segment on Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, and KansasNation.com. Every Wednesday, by the people, for the people, our KU Mailbag segment. Dan, start us off.
I will start us off. It's my favorite segment of the week, by the way.
I love it.
It's because it's by the people.
I just said that.
And
I just said that.
It's for the people.
Okay, good to know.
Did you just
brand
say
new
that?
information?
Anytime you talk, I zone out.
I'm with you.
Berg, he's going to start us off with a KU basketball question. He said, "What's the best way to possibly see any production out of Jaden Dawson in the near future?" Make your damn 3-pointers. That's probably the simple answer. I was higher on Jaden Dawson, I think, in the offseason than maybe a lot of people were. But it's becoming apparent that, we brought him in to be kind of that guy who comes off the bench and gets us 3 quick points, right? Come out right away. You put up a 3 ball. You need points quick. You need to throw him out there and he'll hit a couple threes for you, right? We're not seeing that as of right now. Yesterday was probably the most points or most minutes that he's played in a Kansas uniform. I can't remember how many minutes he played against Green Bay. I don't think it was a lot, right? So that was probably the best game that we've seen, and maybe we'll see in the future if DP does have to sit out another game or whatever the case may be. You need to make your free throw, or not free throws. You need to make your 3-point shots, and you need to get better on defense.
You don't need to make free throws at all.
No, you don't need to make free throws. Make your 3-pointers, and he needs to get better on defense. I think if you go out there and you're a net negative, right? If you put up shots and you're not making them, and you're also giving up shots, that is not what you need whatsoever, right? We've seen that with players in the past where they come in, they're supposed to be that spark plug. All of a sudden, they're 0 for 3, and their man that they're guarding on defense has 2 threes in the last 2 minutes of the game. You can't let that happen, right? So Jaden Dawson needs to get better on defense, but more importantly, needs to be able to make his threes. That's how the productivity will get there. It also comes with time, right? And he needs to make those minutes, but he needs to make the most of the minutes that he's going to be in there. Like when it comes conference play, if right now you take this team and you put them in the conference play, as of right now, Jaden Dawson's probably getting 5 minutes a game. maybe 7 if foul trouble becomes an issue, right? He needs to make the most out of those 5 to 7 minutes per game, and then they'll consistently start to get more if he consistently starts to get better at the 3-point line, at driving to the basket, at defense. But there's a lot of stuff that he needs to work on right now.
Hopefully more than 5 to 7 minutes, but time will tell.
I'm saying as of right now, just in terms of like what we've seen,
Right.
not yesterday's
One
game.
positive for Jaden Dawson yesterday. He played 20 minutes in a game that KU has 18 turnovers. He didn't have any turnovers. He had 2 assists, 2 of 4 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3. Granted, you heard Bill Self a little bit earlier in the show talk about, in relation to Flory's foul trouble, how one of them was because a guy straight line drive past Jaden Dawson. So that one was more so on Dawson. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you don't want Dawson to fall into the mold of Nick Timberlake or the Rylan Griffin, AJ Storr, to where you're not hitting your shots consistently enough to garner being out there.
Right.
Because we've heard a lot about some of the players on this Kansas team, be it El Marco, Melvin, etc., to where maybe their best contribution to this team is going to be on the defensive side. You haven't heard that about Jaden Dawson. I'm not saying he can't be a good defender, but what you've heard about Jaden Dawson is he's a 3-point shooter.
Yep.
And that's what he was brought in to do. He has shot his first 3 years. This isn't just a drop in the bucket. His first 3 years at Loyola Chicago in the high 30% from 3. That would be huge for this team.
Yeah.
He's not going to play nearly as many minutes as he played at Loyola Chicago, but when he's out there, if he takes 4 shots, 5 shots, he's got to hit a couple of them. You need that, especially if he's not going to be a plus defender. So I kind of agree on that front. And we'll see, again, not having Peterson, the Fort Hays game, and last night's game, Coach Self able to see a couple different lineups, what it looks like, and able to legitimately give these guys minutes. That's something that Coach Self has said in the past that he's wanted to do, but hasn't been able to actually do as much. Well, it seems like this year he's really focusing on doing that in some of these games, and we just have to see who wins these battles. But
I think this year is more important than ever, right? Because you have a guy like DP, because he's so much the head of the snake, a term coined by you, that you need games where you don't have Darren Peterson out there. You absolutely need those, because this team doesn't know how. This team needs to know how to react in case there ever is another situation whenever DP is not out there. I think it's good that the 2 games that he's missed are 2 essentially easy games, and that just builds confidence in those guys.
Yeah, we'll see. It's something that hopefully we don't have to talk about too much. As I said over and over, we want DP out there as much as possible. Kohl's got a hard hitter here. If you went back in time 500 years, how would you convince people you were from the future? This is just a Dan Courtwright question.
So good. I love this question a lot.
Yeah, this is you.
So have you seen the I think there's a comedian, Nate Bargatze. He had a joke about this where he's like, if I went back to the future, or if I went back to the past, I just wouldn't be able to tell people. Like, they're like, he's like, oh, this is a phone. They're like, what does it do? They're like, oh, you call people on it. They're like, how does it work? I don't know. Oh, it sends a thing to the sky.
Yeah,
how does it do that? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no idea. How would I tell people I'm from the future? Oh gosh, that's so tough. I think that clothing could be a big one, right? Like, if I'm wearing what I'm wearing right now, I can show them like the hems on the hoodie and the khakis that I'm wearing and the shoes, and be like, look, these were made with a machine that we were able to, make these. And but then I guess they could be like, how did you make the machine? And I could be like, I didn't make the machine. I don't know how it worked. But you can clearly tell that this is not hand stitched.
Right.
I'm not wearing a burlap sack like you guys are. You know what I mean? What do you think the best way would be, right? Because like, your phone would be useless. There's no power to anything, right? So you couldn't be like, oh yeah, well, we just use electricity. Well, like, how do you get electricity? Again, no clue.
idea.
I have no idea how any of that stuff works.
I don't know, man. You're the resident hypothetical.
I think if you know beforehand, you have to know like what day exactly, or at least like what like month ish that you're doing it. So you can be like, hey, this guy is like going to die of dysentery. But granted, I guess if you're 500 years in the past, everybody's going to die of dysentery. So it's like they're like, oh yeah, nice, dude. Like, oh, that guy's going to die of the plague. Everyone's dying of the plague, dude. So that's tough. That's tough. I think maybe the way that I talk, right? Because you definitely talk different.
Yeah.
Like English is not the same. I don't know. I'm probably on the right track here, right? I don't know. But then they probably just think I'm weird and I'm like, I've been dealing witchcraft and they'd burn me at the stake. Is that around the same time?
Because at that point, they are familiar with witchcraft.
They are familiar with the witchcraft, yes. And if I start talking about, magic lightning bolts in the sky, charging a thing that I connect with people with, they'll definitely think I'm a witch.
Sure.
Or a wizard. Which would be funner.
What else? What are some other possibilities?
Can I bring stuff with me? If I could bring anything with me, I would maybe bring a banana to show them, like, hey, this is. See, that doesn't
of all the things.
But like bananas didn't exist before like a couple hundred years ago, right? Because of like genetic mutation. Like they used to be plantains, and then humans decided, hey, plantains need to be better and sweeter, and so they made bananas basically. So like here's a brand new fruit that you guys never heard of, but then they could just be like, well, you just brought that from a different place. Like you're probably just from. So I don't know. I'm spiraling right now because I don't think that I would be able to do it. I genuinely don't think I'd be able to do it.
That was 4 minutes. That was pretty good.
I really. What would you do?
I have no idea. My brain is not wired to answer questions like this.
If you were if you put yourself into the shoes. If you're sent back 500 years,
shoes. Maybe you would take a pair of shoes.
So that's the thing. I'd be like, a machine made these. A machine from the future.
What's a machine?
I think I'm a convincing guy. I think I could just like, I could convince them with my charm. Like,
we'll go with that. Yeah.
Hey, are you really
all of
500 years in the
everything?
future?
Everything Dan just
Yes.
said. We're just gonna settle on his charm.
Yes.
That's gonna
That's
come down.
what
the
just like,
charisma.
you guys gotta believe me.
Yeah.
You gotta believe
There you
me.
go. There you go. You got it.
Please.
You got it.
And then I would be
no
thrown,
actual
and
proof.
I would be thrown into a lion's den.
Wow, Kohl, keep it up, man. That was a special one, and
Good-
Dan really got to
Good question. I need to think
get
more
things
about
spiraling.
because like there's a lot of things where like I would bring it up, and then they'd be like, explain it, and I wouldn't be able to explain it.
What are the top 30 things that you would bring up?
Like, what am I gonna do? Like, be like, oh yeah, well, Harry Truman is gonna be the president in the 40s. They're like, who? Like, yeah, I guess that doesn't make
What
sense. 'Cause we're
40s?
500. Yeah, right.
What year is it right now?
Because yeah, right. You're looking at the 1500s.
What's a year? They probably know a year.
Was Leonardo da Vinci
They don't
around
know-
back
They don't know a
then?
year. When was the calendar? When was the calendar?
When was the calendar invented?
Yeah.
Colonial period. So Columbus had already come to.
How
Yeah, no,
about
you're
this?
right. No,
How
no,
about
so
how about
Columbus
this?
had already come to
The modern calendar.
because he sailed the ocean blue in 1492. I remember the
The modern calendar
run.
has its roots in the Roman Julian calendar, and the current Gregorian calendar was introduced in
So-
1582.
So they're not like dumb. Like there's like writings, right? They're genuinely like pretty smart-ish people there, right? I mean, so a lot of them would speak English. Do I go back? But here's the thing: am I going back to America? Because that's probably a bad place to go. Like if I'm in the middle of Kansas 500 years from now, 500 years in the past, that's not good. You don't want to do that.
Let's move
it's
on.
tough. All right, let's
Good
move on.
stuff. Good stuff. PJ
wants to know who would win in a football game: 22 high schoolers on one side of the ball, or 11 NFL players on the other side.
11 NFL players.
So okay,
absolutely.
Okay, I get it. I understand what you're saying, but these aren't middle schoolers; they're high schoolers still.
It doesn't matter.
You have double the amount.
They'd get broken in half. Even if it
Sure.
was college, even if it was D1 college players.
Like gang tackle. No, D1 college players, 22.
What about like Emporia State?
Yeah.
Emporia State, you take the high schoolers.
22 guys on defense.
Okay.
They
You
could
so you would
they
take the
could
high
tackle
schoolers
Derrick Henry.
against 2017 Emporia State.
Yeah.
Okay.
22?
Okay.
That's double.
NFL players, man.
How would you? Here's what I would do. I would just
Who
double
is
up everything.
who is tackling Derrick Henry?
I would. You know how much pressure I'd bring? I'd have an 8-man front.
Okay. So
And
then you have
and then guess what? I would have 6 linebackers. What is
Okay.
that? That's 14. And then how many guys do you have in the secondary there? You have 8 guys in the secondary.
Okay.
So you have basically a double team on every single
think of the
wide
size
receiver, and then you got two high safeties sitting in the end zone.
Think of the size of the NFL players compared to the high schoolers. And that's
Sure.
I almost rest my case there. The size and the speed.
Sure.
I mean, your secondary is going to be a moot point because there's literally guys already past them before
Right.
the sentence is over.
Okay, no, but that's the thing. You play prevent defense every time.
Okay, so you have a 14-man front,
Mhm.
and then you have 8 in the secondary.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to keep up from a speed. If you pass the ball, if I got Josh Allen or somebody at quarterback, if you pass the ball,
you got 8 guys in the secondary though, so you have
if he
you have a
has
guy covering
any sort of time in the pocket,
like you're like, hey, corner number 2 on the left side, you only have the flats. Do not move within a 5 square
so
yard
how do you
radius.
expect him to perform then?
Probably
if the ball is thrown to the flat, what's going to happen? Is he going to intercept it?
Right, but I think the NFL players would get cocky and they try to they try to bomb it every single time. All of a sudden, you have 8 guys back there going up against like 3 or 4 wide receivers.
But they're all in the rear view because the wide receivers are so fast.
Yeah, but I'm saying they're playing prevent defense. So you got like 3 or 4 high safeties in the backfield. Or not in the backfield, but in the secondary, like already sitting in the end zone, ready to bat those balls down. Their only job is to bat the balls down. They don't need to make an interception. They don't need to cover them.
Okay, so
let them come to you.
Give me DK Metcalf.
The only job is do not let anybody get behind you.
No high schoolers.
They're playing
even in a Hail Mary
35 yards back.
Okay, meet him in the end zone. Meet DK Metcalf in the end zone.
Sure.
And I don't care how many guys in the secondary. You throw a ball.
Bat it down.
In the end zone. Who bats it down? Who's going to get higher than DK Metcalf?
High schooler.
Clearly.
I would give the high schoolers. I think the high schoolers would have a chance.
Oh, I think they
And
would.
then on the
they would
offensive
all
side of the
get
ball-
pancaked at the point of attack.
On the offensive side of the ball, I would run what they would call a flying wedge, if you will. They make a V formation, and they just run directly into the defense. Now, would they get killed? Probably.
Right. That's the problem.
But I think
if all
you're
your players are dead, then
I think you're
then
getting
not
chunk
going to win.
plays. I think you're getting chunk plays.
Yeah, let us know on Twitter who wins this.
right, fine.
22
That's a
high
good question.
schoolers versus 11 NFL players. Man, you don't have a chance.
Come on.
Maybe 22 against like 6, you would maybe have a
don't know.
chance. Keegan says, pick one player of the Self era you would add to this KU basketball squad. Dan, your thoughts? I know where I'm going.
You first.
Man,
maybe a 3-point shooter.
Yeah, I'm going with Devontae.
Yeah.
I think Ochai, there's a case to be made for him. Athleticism, dang good 3-point shooter. Obviously, Svi can shoot the rock. I think you got to go with the 3-point shooter, though. Somebody who's going to shoot 40%, going to play. I mean, because you get Peterson out there. You got Peterson at the 1, and you got Devontae at the 2 or the 3. I mean,
that's pretty fun.
That's nasty.
That is very nasty. I think Devontae's a really good choice. Svi, I was maybe looking at. Hear me out.
And Svi has more size than
Yes.
Devontae, obviously, so that's decent. He's doing great, by the way. He's having a great season. He had 28 for the Jazz.
Yeah, shout out.
He's starting right now for the Jazz.
Good for him. I mean, is Udoka Azubuike a wrong answer? I don't think it's a wrong answer.
It's not, no.
I think that with the way that the bigs have been playing, now Flory is good. I'm not saying Flory's bad. I'm not saying any of the other guys are bad. I'm saying Udoka is so dominant that if you have as dominant as a point guard as DP and as dominant as a piece down low as Udoka Azubuike, I would love to see that combination right there. Just lob city. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think I'm actually going to go with you though. I'm going to go with the 3-point shooter. Nick Timberlake. No. I think I'm going to go with either Devontae or Svi. I think that's probably the right answer.
Is Ochai a wrong answer?
I don't think Ochai would be a great answer too.
My
actually,
goodness.
CB could also be up there. I think Ochai. I actually.
Devontae has such a quick release.
See, I almost want to say Jalen Wilson and just make him play the small forward spot,
which he does in the NBA right now.
I know,
He,
Like
hit he hit 3 threes last night as well for the Nets.
I think that could be that's probably a right answer too. There's no wrong answer. I think that you probably need 3-point shooting. That's the biggest thing. And I don't know. I think with a definite thing, a definite center, I think would be good too. And then we're gonna flip it. Adam says, if you could put Darren Peterson on any previous Bill Self team, which one would you put him on and why?
Well,
I have an
Bill
answer
Self's
right off the
had
bat.
3 teams in my book that have won the national championship.
I have a right answer off the bat.
So it's got to be a team that didn't win.
So I'm gonna go with mine. 2012, he is in place for Nadir Tharp.
2012, Nadir Tharp was not on that squad.
I thought he was the starting point guard on that team.
No.
No, I'm sorry. Nadir Tharp was the starting point guard the next year for Andrew Wiggins and Joel Embiid.
That would have been 2 years later.
2 years later.
13-14.
Yes. So that team.
So you have Peterson, Wiggins, and Embiid.
Yes.
Okay. So 2014, 13-14 is your choice. That's
Yeah.
not bad. Does that team have enough shooting though? Frank Mason was also on that team. Connor Frankamp was on that team.
Who was the was Wayne Selden on that team?
Wayne Selden was on that team. Yep, as a freshman. Yeah, that
that's
freshman
right.
class had
That's a good
Mason,
freshman
Selden, Wiggins, and Embiid.
That's crazy.
And Frankamp, who obviously would have had a decent career at Wichita State.
That's insane.
Uh,
Who was the starting 2 and 3 on that squad?
starting 2 and 3 on 13-14.
Yeah.
So
So
Wiggins,
Perry Ellis started that year too.
Perry Ellis was a freshman, so he was the 4,
Yeah,
right?
he played the power forward.
And B was the 5. Wiggins was the 3. Lil Nana was the point guard.
Nadir, who's the 2?
Was it 13-14?
Roster. I'm looking up the roster right now.
Yeah.
So they had Wiggins, Wayne Selden, Nadir Tharp, Frank
I don't
Mason.
think Selden
They had Tariq
started.
Black on that team. Forgot about that. Jamari Traylor was on that team. It might have been Brandon Green.
He didn't
No,
start.
he didn't. Yeah, you're right, I think. Andrew White was on that team.
Former Syracuse legend.
Landon Lucas. It had to have been one of the freshmen.
It must have been Selden. It must have been.
It must have been Selden. Yeah.
Yeah, because KU lost a lot of players on the 2012-13 team.
They had 6 NBA players on the team.
Not too bad.
Andrew White went to go play in the NBA.
How about that? Tark Black as well.
Yeah, Tariq
Yeah,
Black.
he had a cup of coffee
He
with
was
the
a starter
Lakers, I
He
believe.
was a starter with the Lakers. And that was like one of the all-time like starting 5s that people hated was Tariq Black was on that starting 5.
Oh, for the Lakers.
For the Lakers, yeah. Because I think Kobe
legend.
was still playing for the Lakers, and they're like, how did the Lakers have this terrible of a starting 5?
I'm gonna go. I like this question. Again, but in my opinion, it's got to be a team that didn't have a ton of success, right?
Yes.
You know what I'm gonna go? I'm gonna go 2020, 2021. So in between the 2 national championships.
Sure.
Where we won in 2020 and 2022.
We did win in 2020, yes.
And then the 2020, 2021 team, you remember, had all the players that won the title in 2022, but Marcus Garrett, who is a National Defensive Player of the Year, had to run point.
That's right.
And KU didn't have enough offense.
That's right.
So you put in DP at the
interesting.
1, you got a Garrett at the 2.
Yeah.
I don't know if that team will win the national championship, but you still have Christian Brown, you still have Ochai Agbaji, you still have Jalen Wilson, you still have David McCormick on that team, and USC doesn't wax you quite as bad.
Interesting.
I like that pick.
I like that pick.
Good
That's a good
question
one.
there
That's a good
from
one.
Adam. And then a hard hitter from Hank. Hank wants to know, what is the best college hand gesture? There are a couple of these. Isn't there like Wichita State has one? Baylor's got
Wichita State definitely has one. I don't know if we can do it on video.
We can't, but Baylor's got the sick 'em.
What's the TCU? Does TCU do this?
And then somebody does this, right?
I know there's this. Stingers up, maybe. I mean, that's up there. Stingers up. Shout out to Emporia State.
I mean, the best college hand gesture is horns down. It is.
It's so good. It's so good. But the Oregon O, that's a fun one. The U, that's a good one.
Oh, I really like that. That's probably my pick.
The U here, yeah. Wolfpack does this.
So
and NC State.
I don't like that. So yeah, TCU this.
I think it's like this.
And then Baylor's just the bear claw, but they have to do the sick 'em.
Is this the horn frog? Yeah, Baylor's the bear paw. Do you remember? This is like a deep cut for a lot of KU fans. Marlins man went on a stretch back in the day
and then
of going to KU games. Do you remember this?
Yes.
And I remember KU was playing Oklahoma State, and they showed Marlins Man on the Jumbotron. I was at this game. This might have been 2015, maybe. 2015, 2016, around there. I remember I had a broken hand because it was my senior year of playing in high school. I was playing basketball. And I remember Marlins Man, they showed him on the thing, and he did this. And we were playing Oklahoma State. And they started.
Oh yeah, is this Texas Tech?
So yes, but then like also they're like Oklahoma State's the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And I think their mascot does this. I don't know if they do this, but he did this on the Jumbotron, and they started booing Marlins Man. And then Marlins Man came on Instagram or Twitter or somewhere afterwards, and he said, "No, guys, I wasn't making a gun like a Cowboys. I was making a J with my hand for Jayhawks. Let's get this started for the Jayhawks." And then nobody ever.
I don't remember that at all, but that's terrible.
And then it was a weird deep cut. I remember following that because I was at that game, and I remember them booing him. And I remember seeing it on Twitter that like night or maybe the next morning.
Right.
And Marlins Man was like, almost like came out with an apology, being
Oh
like,
my
"Hey,
God.
no, I wasn't cheering for Oklahoma State. I was making a J for the Jayhawks."
Right.
It's like, dude, what are you like? That's so dumb.
Yeah,
You
that's
kidding me?
pretty weak.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Best arm gesture in college sports though.
Yes,
With the wheat. Yeah, good question there from Hank.
What's the best referee hand signal?
Oh, it's a full body signal. The charge.
Yes.
Yes, but honorable mention.
Yeah, I like that's a fun one.
Have you seen those gifs on social media of referees looking in the mirror practicing their technical fouls?
That's so good.
It's like you have this, but this one.
That's so good.
But
Man,
like the charge where they get a running start and then they.
So I like a good rip out strike three.
Oh yeah, that's
Like
that's a good one.
It's so.
I
good.
also like when the umpire points at the base.
Yes.
Points at the base.
and throws his shoulder out of socket. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. That's a good one. That's a fantastic
classic.
one.
Made for TV was that question from Hank. Appreciate that. All right, thanks everybody for sending in your questions today to the KU Mailbag. After this, going back to post-game podium sound, KU basketball. Kohl Rosario and Bryson Tiller, two guys that we're very high on. They spoke post-game KU's 31-point win last night. We'll have that for you next on Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com, ESPN, Kansas City. It was 77-46 last night at Allen Fieldhouse. KU improved to 2-1. Next up, the Princeton Tigers, Saturday at 1. Hey, want to shout out Game Day Men's Health Lawrence, a great partner that we have here at Kansas Nation. They are over on Wakarusa. Mitch Bales, great guy, and really happy to have this partnership going on with them. And we have a company event actually a little bit later tonight. Looking forward to hosting a few people here at Kansas Nation.
Yes.
State-of-the-art studio here on Mass Street.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And like you said, shout out to Game Day Men's Health. Plush man cave-like setting. They're trying to improve your life and your health in any way possible. So go and check them out. They have a ton of different stuff to really just improve on your everyday life. So really excited for that partnership. Check them out. Game Day Men's Health here in Lawrence.
Yeah, KansasNation.com, by the way.
I would say Crown Automotive as well.
Yeah, I want to shout them out, everybody over there, including Miles Snare. Appreciate their sponsorship as well. KansasNation.com, everything you need to keep up on all your KU coverage. We've got articles, we've got live tweets, live updates, post-game reaction, everything you need. Basketball, football, everything going on at KU. KansasNation.com is the spot. And give us a subscription on socials, YouTube, TikTok, and of course, our podcast is available on Apple and Spotify. Those subscriptions really matter. We really appreciate that. Kohl Rosario and Bryson Tiller, they've been really good. Let's hear what they said post-game after another solid performance in the win last night.
Kohl, first off, did you shave because you were superstitious, or was it just time?
It was just time. I mean, I need to try something different, turn a new leaf, and just ready to go.
And I think you had 3 or 4 dunks before your first 3 fell. Does it help to kind of get comfortable and get into a flow and then kind of?
Mic's not working.
Yes.
Is the mic on? Is the mic on? Oh. Sorry, it just goes off. I'll flip the switch. There we go.
Thank you. You had the 3 or 4 dunks before the first 3 fell. Were you getting comfortable and starting to feel it?
Yeah, it's always good to see the ball go in first before you try those deep shots. So it is good to see a couple dunks go in before you fire your first 3.
Go ahead.
Kohl season high tonight. How's the confidence through 3 games?
It's good. I mean, I've always had the same confidence. I'm always going to keep shooting. Again, I mean, I put in the work. I just got to trust the numbers. I know, I mean, I've missed a couple shots starting the season, but that just means I'm going to make a whole bunch more, and I'm going to keep letting it fly. My confidence hasn't wavered. I know that I put the work in. Shots going to start falling.
And you've drawn a charge in the last 2 games. What's that mentality when you see somebody kind of bearing down on you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to put my body on the line, whatever it is for the team to win, and I'm just here playing hard and making the right plays.
Bryson, what were some of the things that Coach Self had emphasized to you leading up to this game, and how do you feel like you delivered on those tonight?
First off, I think Kohl is way better without his mustache, and I think he's actually weighing him down, so congrats to him on that. But just coming into the game, coaches want us to be aggressive and super physical. You know, they're an aggressive team, so we just had to match their aggressiveness, and that's how we had to win.
And from your perspective, what will it mean for you guys, the team, if Kohl's able to play like he did tonight?
Yeah, he's a big piece of what we do. He brings a lot of energy on and off the court, so if he's playing well, we're all going to play well.
Another game without DP. I mean, do you guys look at these games kind of heading in saying, all right, well, if we don't have Darren, like one of us is going to have to step up? And, you know, obviously, Kohl, you had a fantastic game, but what's the mentality going into a game without Darren?
Yeah, I mean, as a team, no one's looking to score, step up. I mean, whoever's the open man is going to shoot. That's what we focus on. We're really put into like swinging the ball, getting touches, getting to the third side, and whoever's open is going to shoot, and that's what we got.
And Bryson, your number got called early, obviously in this game. How comfortable are you playing that 5 as opposed to kind of playing that 4? And then, you know, like you said, you can even play like kind of a stretch 3. How comfortable are you down there?
Yeah, I'm very comfortable. I work and study the game at all 3 positions, so you know, I don't have a problem doing either one.
You guys as a team got on the glass pretty good from pretty much the first shot that went up tonight. Was that an emphasis tonight, but also maybe the last couple of days in practice? If you could both talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, Coach always talked about turning up, and that's part of playing hard is going and attacking the offensive rebound and defensive rebounds too. So I think if we could do that, we'll be pretty good.
Yeah, like you said, it starts in practice. We compete against each other hard every day, so that is going to translate well to the games.
What was the mood after the Carolina game the last couple of days, preparing for this one?
Yeah, I'd just say, you know, we know we had a loss. We know it wasn't a good game, so we during practice we've had that same mentality. We've carried it with us. Obviously, we're going to look forward and not dwell on the past, but also use that energy and the loss to motivate us moving forward.
Bryson, I think you had another drive and dunk, and you hit a 3. Is versatility your game now?
Yes, sir. That's something I work on a lot. So, and you know, my athleticism, I feel like I can do multiple things on the court. So, for sure.
Was tonight a shock when Darren didn't play, or did you already know?
I'm not sure. I don't have an answer to that.
Anything else for the players?
Kohl Rosario and Bryson Tiller post-game the KU win. It seemed like Kohl Rosario on that last question about Darren Peterson, Gary Bedore of Kansas City Star asked if they were surprised, and I think Kohl was well drilled on how to respond to that.
Well media trained.
Yes.
is Kohl Rosario.
Yeah,
that was nice. He practically pled the 5th.
Yeah, he was going to leave that for the Hall of Famer to answer.
Hey, I like it. I like that. Yeah,
sure.
I like they did that. But
yeah, he's
also
mature beyond his years.
What do you think? So we haven't talked about this yet. I brought it up in the opening segment. I said that if Kohl Rosario goes for 20 last night, I was going to shave my mustache.
Yes.
Thankfully, he did not.
Thankfully, he didn't play enough to do that. He would have gotten there. I mean,
know.
he immediately scored after you agreed to that and then hit a 3.
Well, I think, what did he have? 6 points? Sean and I were sitting next to each other at the game, and Sean turns around and he said, hey, if Kohl goes for 20.
Because Kohl had shaved his mustache before the game.
Yeah, he said, if Kohl goes for 20, you shave your mustache. I was like, deal. Immediately hits a 3. I was like, oh, awesome.
Right.
Okay, so
all of a sudden
9.
he was cooking.
He's like almost halfway there.
I
It's
know.
like
I think he was at like 4, and then all of a sudden he's at 11. It's like, oh god.
Yeah. Not.
You got engagement pictures coming up.
I
so,
do. I
So
have
you wanted to keep
pictures
the
coming up on
stash
Friday.
for that.
I need dude. It's like I need to have that mustache. If I show up to engagement pictures on Friday, might as well call off the wedding. By the way, the mustache is growing on Piper. Well, it's actually growing on me, but it's growing on
I
her.
see. I see.
Like she was not a fan of it before, but now she really likes it, and she doesn't even want me going back to the full beard.
There you go.
So
Maybe it'll stay.
Yeah, I think it's gonna stay.
It's
I'm
here
gonna
to stay for now. Maybe not for
Yes.
Rosario, who hung 16 in his first mustache-less performance last night. Hey, more coming up on Rock Chalk Sports after this on KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City. Want to highlight a few games in the Big 12 last night. Aside from KU's 77-46 victory over Corpus Christi, Cincinnati over Dayton in the Battle of Ohio, 74-62. UCF over the Florida A&M Rattlers, I want to say, 97-60.
FAMU.
We got BYU, number 7 in the country. They beat Delaware 85-68. Delaware was up by 10 in the first half, and they led at halftime. But Brigham Young comes back and wins. Of course, they get UConn coming up this weekend, so that perhaps was a oversight of the Blue Hens. But they got it done, won by 17. Number 5, Arizona over Northern Arizona, 84-49. And then one of the top 25 games that we're going to highlight, Daniel, over in Champaign. I know you love Champaign. Number 14, Illinois over number 11, Texas Tech, 81-77.
Yeah, interesting. Because I think we did game picks for this game. I said JT Toppin was going to go for 30 plus, and he did. He went for 35, but it still wasn't enough to knock off the Fighting Illini. Granted, it was in Champaign, so it was going to be a tougher game, but Andre Stojakovic, who knows Dad.
I do. And how funny is it that he transferred from Cal to Stanford?
Crazy.
Before. I mean, that's Roddy Gale Jr., Ohio State to Michigan type stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't see that too often. But then he transferred to Illinois.
Yeah,
but
he's
yeah,
in Illinois now.
Peja's son.
Yeah, he had 23 points. He blocked a potential tying three-pointer in the final seconds of the game. So it was a great game. I watched some highlights of it. Zvonimir Izovic was great in this game as well. He had 11 points. Kylan Boswell, excuse me, he had 22 points. Illinois taking down Texas Tech makes me think that Texas Tech is not, because before the season,
Just so you know, that game went exactly as Vegas anticipated.
No, I know. Yeah, absolutely. And maybe they know something that I don't. I'm still hesitant to believe that they're smarter than me over there, but it's crazy to me because Texas Tech, just with JT Toppin, with all of the talent that they're bringing back, Grant McCaskill is such a fantastic coach. Like, they, to me, seemed unbeatable, and for them to drop one, granted it was on the road, but it was against number 14 Illinois, who I wasn't super high on. Now, granted, they have a lot of really good players on that squad. Still is a little bit shocking to me that they weren't able to close it out.
I wonder how much of a hole losing Darian Williams is going to be for Texas Tech. They do get
Could
Lawan
be.
Watts. He's projected to be the Big 12 newcomer of the year, at least in the preseason. But yeah, Toppin and Christian Anderson, I think they're going to be fine. We'll see how that goes moving forward. A huge weekend of college basketball coming up that we're going to have coverage of these next couple days on Rock Chalk Sports. But recapping some other games last night and a busy night. Number 6, Michigan survives over Wake in Detroit, 85-84. Number 4, Duke undresses Army, 114-59. Number 10, Florida.
Nice
They
Chesky Bowl.
were projected to have no problem with Florida State, but they end up winning by just 2 in Gainesville, 78-76.
Is Florida in trouble?
No, I think they're going to be fine.
I mean, you don't think that losing to Arizona and having Koa Pete go for 30 on them, you don't think that rattled them a little bit? I mean, they only beat Florida State, who is not projected to be very good. They only beat them by 2.
Rivalry game, though. Who knows?
Sure,
Who
I
knows?
guess. Things are weird.
Number 21, Arkansas blows out Central. Number 18, UNC. Of course, no Seth Trimble. He's likely out until January, 89-74 over Radford. Number 22, Auburn blows out Wofford. Number 24, Wisconsin blows out Ball State. And then a couple games that pitted 2 top 25 teams. Number 19, Gonzaga over number 23, Creighton. This was late, and it was a blowout. Zags won 90-63. That's concerning if you're Creighton. I mean, I understand it's early, but when you get crushed that bad by a good team early in the season, that's kind of a red flag. And then how about the rivalry took place at the Yum Center? Number 12, Louisville over number 9, Kentucky, 96-88. Louisville was actually up a ton in this one, Dan. And then Kentucky made it interesting. I think they got within 4, but Michael Jr. Michael Brown Jr. goes for 29. Ryan Conwell goes for 24. Louisville, a team that when I was at the Yum Center for this exhibition, I wasn't horribly impressed with.
Yeah.
KU did a good job on Michael Brown Jr., but they've been nothing but awesome offensively since then, and they're now 3-0 after beating their in-state rival.
Yeah, and look, Kentucky, I mean, it was kind of highlighted by Denzel Aberdeen, right? Denzel Aberdeen played for Florida last year, won a national championship, and then transferred over to Kentucky. He had 26 points, and he was phenomenal in this game as well. But like you said, Louisville, they had a huge lead. They were I can't remember what you said. It was like 18 with however many minutes left, and then Kentucky just kept on inching back and back and back. But Michael Brown Jr., I mean, he is the real deal, right? I mean, we're seeing this. He had 29 points last year, last night, excuse me, in this game. But if you look back at the exhibition game, he did not play well, and that was because of the defensive effort from Kansas and Darren Peterson in particular, right? I mean, you look at that and you go, okay, yeah, well, Michael Brown Jr., he's one of those highly touted freshmen, and he could be really good, but it's just different, right, with Darren Peterson. So Michael Brown Jr. is going to be probably an NBA guy, going to be probably a one-and-done type of player as well. But, you feel good about beating Louisville. Granted, it was an exhibition game and they didn't know anything about their team. Neither did Kansas. Kansas didn't know anything about their team either. So Kansas going into Louisville and beating Louisville and knowing that Louisville, they're not frauds, I think is really important for KU. So that's one of the things you can kind of take away from that is that, look, Kansas went into the Yum Center in a hostile environment and they beat Louisville, and it wasn't really close.
Yeah. Impressive win for Louisville, and it was impressive win in the exhibition. And again, we don't want to downplay it at all when KU got it done. Really, we've seen just one bad half from KU because they were good in the first half against UNC. I mean, UNC only scored 29, and then the wheels kind of fell off in the second half in that one. That closes out important games in the top 25 for college basketball this weekend. Again, Dan, it's going to be massive. So many good matchups. I mentioned BYU UConn, a top 10 game, so we'll have to give some game picks and some thoughts on those games a little bit later in the week. Some noteworthy scores we haven't gotten to yet regarding the NFL over the weekend. The fact that the Colts survive again, they get 8 wins. The Jags were up 29-10 on the Texans. I mean, what happened there? Texans come back and win 36-29.
I said that the Jags are going to blow them out of the water.
Well, you were right for the first 85% of the game.
For the first part of the game, just that last portion.
Ravens,
the Jaguars, by the way, speaking of the Jaguars, Travis Hunter out for the year.
He is. He's out for the year. And, well, speaking of being out for the year, Brian Dable.
Yes.
He's out.
Do you think he'll probably land another job somewhere in the NFL, but could you see potentially Brian Dable taking one of the big boy jobs in college football, because there's so many jobs that are open right now?
Interesting. Yeah, we'll have to see on that front. A win for the Ravens as they've got their mojo back. They now have 4 wins, 4-5. They've won their last 3. Lamar is good. How about 2 games, Dan, ending 44-22? Seahawks over the Cardinals and Lions over the Washington football team. Very strange. Lions are back. The Rams are very good. I know they were your dark horse when they were like 6-0.
Yeah.
And
I think one of the big ones though. Dolphins beat the Bills.
Bills is the noteworthy game. Yeah.
That's the big one.
Chiefs got to start piling some wins together. We'll have some Chiefs talk, of course, as they take on the Broncos at Mile High Sunday at 3:25, a little bit later in the week. For Elijah Schmidt running the operations today on Rock Chalk Sports, Dan Courtwright, Sean Kellerman saying we'll catch you tomorrow from 4 to 6 right here on KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City.